You see it every single day. It's on your phone, your laptop, your headphones, and even your car, that distinct, jagged little bee inside a blue oval. We all know what it does. It connects our devices without wires. But have you ever stopped to ask, why is it called that? Why is a cutting-edge piece of modern technology named after a tooth, and a blue one at that? Is it a dental condition? A translation error? The answer is actually much stranger than you might think. It involves a frustrated Intel engineer, a drink at a bar, and a Viking King from the 10th century. Welcome to Simple Things Surprising Histories. Today we are connecting the dots on the true story of Bluetooth. To understand the name, we have to go back to 1997. The tech world was a mess. Companies like Intel, Ericsson, and Nokia were all racing to create a short-range radio technology to connect computers and cellular devices. But the problem was, they were all working separately. They needed a single unified standard so all these different brands could talk to each other. In the summer of '97, Jim Kardak from Intel and Sven Madison from Ericsson went out for a drink in Toronto. They weren't just talking shop, they were talking history. Sven had recently read a historical novel called The Long Ships by Franz G. Bengtsson. He started telling Jim the story of a famous Danish king. Jim was so fascinated that he went home and bought a book on Vikings himself. And that is where they found their name. The king they were reading about was Harald Gormson, who ruled Denmark in the late 10th century. Harald is famous for two things. First, he erected the Jelling Stones, massive rune stones that are still standing today. But more importantly, he is credited with unifying the dissonant tribes of Denmark and Norway. He brought them together under a single banner. See the connection? Jim Kardak realized that just as King Harald unified Scandinavia, this new technology was intended to unify the PC and cellular industries with a short-range wireless link. But what about the nickname? Why Bluetooth? Well, legend has it that Harald Bluetooth had a dead tooth, likely dark gray or bluish in color. Hence, Harald Bluetooth. It wasn't a family name, it was a physical description that stuck. Once you know the king's name, the logo suddenly makes perfect sense. If you look closely at the Bluetooth symbol, it isn't just a fancy letter B, it's actually a bind rune, a combination of two symbols from the younger Futhark alphabet used by Vikings. It combines the rune for H, Hagel, and the rune for B, Bjarken. H and B, Harald Bluetooth. So every time you toggle that icon on your phone, you're literally looking at the initials of a Viking king written in thousand-year-old script. Here's the funny part. Bluetooth was never supposed to be the official name. It was strictly a code name while they developed the tech. The marketing teams had two real names ready to go. One was Radio Wire, and the other was PAN, Personal Area Network. PAN was the favorite, but it was too generic for internet searches. Radio Wire was the backup, but the trademark search couldn't be finished in time for the launch. With the deadline hitting, the companies panicked. They had no choice but to go with the code name. They figured they'd change it later. But obviously, they never did. The name and the history stuck. From a 10th century Viking king with a dead tooth to the wireless tech in your pocket, that's the surprising history of Bluetooth. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to Simple Things Surprising Histories for more hidden histories behind everyday objects. See you next time.